Hey guys, it's your girl Keri. Last week I shared my updated to-go breakfast station, and a viewer left a comment stating that she was happy that I shared what was working and what wasn't. So about 2 years ago I had my cabinets repainted, and I've been on a journey of decluttering and organizing, trying to keep my home together and create systems. So today I decided to share with you my updated spice cabinet slash second hot breakfast station area that I organized about a little over a year ago. I wanted to share with you what it looks like now, what's working and what's not. So let me remind you of the before when I organized it last year and what it looks like now. I did not move anything, change anything, try to pretty anything up. This is exactly what it looks like a year later. So I'm going to go in and tell you what's working and what's not. So let's start with this top shelf. I absolutely love the Lazy Susans. This was one of the best things I could have added to my cabinet. I can find things easily, and that's working. The only thing that is a problem is getting people to put things back exactly where they belong. This particular Lazy Susan was supposed to be just for all of our oils and vinegars, but I see a baking powder that does not belong there, so I'm going to remove that. And then over on this side, this Lazy Susan was just supposed to be for our condiments that really don't go in the refrigerator, like Frank's Red Hot sauce, my almond butter, and here we have an oil that doesn't belong there, so I'll just put that back over here. This bucket here was supposed to be for all of my husband's spices for his barbecue rubs and things like that. But he has not been using his specific barbecue bin for his spices. He doesn't put them back in here. He just shoves them wherever he can find cabinet space, and some random spices ended up getting into this bin. So I'm going to just put all of the rubs and spices back into this barbecue bin. Now moving right along to our second shelf. Love the shelf, love the system that I've set up, but I did have to do some retweaking. So this is kind of like our hot breakfast station where we keep our oatmeal, our grits. We used to have, you know, pancakes and things like that all lined up here. We have since switched some things out, but let me share with you what wasn't working. Let me move this down. As you can see in my original setup, I had the smaller containers like this size, and here are our upgraded containers. Maybe a month after using this system, I just realized I was filling these smaller containers up way too often, and I knew I did not want to maintain that. But at the same time, I wanted to make sure that I would continuously use this system before I invested in upgraded, you know, canisters and things like that. And I must say, I'm so glad I did. So my first tip would be, instead of starting off small, I think I got these smaller containers because they were readily available and they were cute and I could get a whole bunch of them and things like that. But I didn't think about, you know, what I was putting in them and the quantity. So what I mean by that is when I bought my oatmeal, I wasn't able to dump the entire oatmeal package into my canister. So then that left me with having to store excess. So I had to make sure I had enough space to store the cute stuff and then store the excess. And that was something I did not want to have to do. So when I went and upgraded my containers, I made sure that whatever size package I bought, I could fit it in the entire container. And this has been a lifesaver. This one right here was for pancake mix, but we have stopped using pancake mix once we ran out of this jar. We figured we did not want pancake mix to be a staple in our family anymore. We wanted to focus on more healthier options, and we wanted pancakes to become, you know, like a special treat. Over here, I just have the one that says sugar, and again, this one I'm going to just dump into the smaller container like this, and whatever excess is left, I'm going to throw away. We haven't had sugar for a while, but we had some family members come and they wanted to bake, and we didn't have sugar or flour. We had cut sugar and flour out of our diets, and they were like, you don't have the basic stuff in your pantry? So they went out and bought a 5-pound bag of sugar, and we haven't used any of it since. So I don't want to waste this jar on sugar. So I think I'm going to probably put brown rice in here. And then I'm going to probably fill this one with like penne pasta, because we do have penne pasta from time to time. And then that's just my xylitol that's not in the prepackaged packs that I use when I'm trying to sweeten things other than my tea. And then back there we have just some excess canisters. And then after I remove all of the large canisters in the front, this is what's in the back. And you guys remember how I made this. I just took a 2x4 block of wood and covered it in my copper paper, and I still have brown sugar. I use that for my oatmeal. I have some overflow pecans that, you know, didn't fit in my to-go breakfast station, some overflow grits. This is the only flour that we have left from when our family was here cooking. We don't use flour. And here are the other empty jars that I, you know, hadn't used because I wanted to replace them with the bigger jars. But I'm going to find a more suitable use for these jars as I continue to declutter. And this bottom row is the row that I struggle with the most. This is the one that's going to need the most work. Again, I still love these Lazy Susans, and I share with you how I made these little cute individual spice jars. And although I love the look of these little spice jars, they're all uniform, they fit on my Lazy Susan, I'm going to be honest. When you're starting to make things that you think look cute and things like that, you have to consider maintenance. Are you going to want to maintain that system? For example, when I first set this thing up, I was fine with, you know, dumping all of my spices in here. But when I ran out of spices, for example, look at this garlic. I did not want to come home, open up a new garlic batch and dump everything in here and just keep maintaining it so it can look pretty. Hence, that's why this garlic here is almost empty, and the big batch of garlic is on the Lazy Susan up there that's supposed to have condiments. What I was supposed to do was come home, open up my little garlic thing, dump in the garlic, and be fine. But I ran into the same problem with the canisters. This garlic here is much bigger than my garlic on my garlic stand, so I would still have to figure out where to put my extra garlic. The second thing that did not work out that great for me on this particular row was the shelf liners. I was trying to use what I already had so I wouldn't have to spend any unnecessary money, and I had these faux leather fabric that I thought would be great as a liner since it matched the color of my kitchen cabinets. I cut that down, but since it didn't have any sticky film to hold it in place, it just ended up being all over the place, getting all jumbled up. So what I think I'm going to do for this is just take out this liner and put in a clear liner that I can get from Walmart, and then that way everything can stay nice. I don't need to do that for this row, even though there's a little bit of bunching there. That 2x4 block in the back holds everything down, so when I'm pulling things down and putting them back, it doesn't get, you know, messed up. And the same thing for this top shelf. Since the Lazy Susans are sitting on top of them, it's not going to shift. I guess the problem down here is I'm taking things off, put them back on. Another thing that didn't work out were my labels. They lasted all but a couple of months. This is the only one that's still pretty much intact, but because these bins were used over and over and I just hot glued them on, that was not a real secure way to keep them, you know, on the bins. So I thought what I could do, as I've been decluttering my craft room, I found these tags that I've had, and I think I want to just rip this off and tape it to these tags and just hang the tags on here, and that way it could be more secure. So that was a quick, easy fix. I just updated all of my tags, and this way it's secure and they won't ever fall off. The next problem I had with this shelf was just things getting all mixed up. This is supposed to be the spice packets, and I have everything but spice packets in here. I have spices, just a ton of spices. And here is an open spice packet. It's the Hidden Valley Ranch Dip. We put that on everything. We actually have a spice jar made for that. We're supposed to be pouring all of our ranch dips inside this jar so we won't have these open packets. But again, like I said, I got lazy and did not want to maintain this cute system. So I'm going to go ahead and empty all of our, spices that are open into the right containers. And this one over here is supposed to be our baking bin, but as you can see, all of our spice packets are in the baking bin. Things are just getting mixed up, and I hadn't been diligent about putting things back. And this cabinet over here, adjacent to the spice cabinet, here are all of these overflow spices. So we have, dishes in there, and then this bottom row just became a catch-all for all these spices that did not have room to fit in the other cabinet, or my husband not putting back the different rubs that he uses for his different grilling and barbecue. So I'm going to clear this out. And my husband loves to just go to the store and buy a different seasoning to come up with a different, recipe, or a different rub, or a different sauce. I don't even know what this is. Tiger seasoning. He used this, just last week. So I'm going to clear all of this out and see how I can revamp and fit it back in the other cabinet, and to see if I need to create new spaces. Here is another almond butter on my top shelf up here. This was almost completely gone, so I'm going to just go ahead and eat this, the last little remnants in here, and just put this back on the shelf, the new one. So that's what's going on in this cabinet. We're clearing that out. Now let's move over to the cabinet that's right next to that. Here's another random spice. Like I said, we just stick them wherever we can when we can't fit them in there. And looks like we bought another Larry's seasoned salt. I don't know how many seasoned salts we have now. And this bottom shelf right here needs to be cleared out as well. This is kind of like our vitamin and medicine area. So when we wake up in the morning, this, since we're right near the sink, right in the kitchen, this is where we take all of our, medicines or vitamins if there's a cold or anything like that. This needs to be cleaned up because we're not using all of this stuff, at once. So I'm going to clear that out. And the spinner drill we need to put down here. We keep this on deck because Reagan, again, is very allergic to nuts and things like that. So if she comes into contact, we have the Benadryl ready. And what I think I'm going to do with this upper cabinet here is clear out the things that I don't use on a daily basis. So I want to kind of make these two shelves just kind of a medicine shelf, and then our specialty cup sick shelf, like our sick cups. I told you each family member in our household has a sick cup. So here's my husband's sick cup, and when we have like teas or soups and stuff, we put them in our special sick cup. So this is his. He actually has a new one now. I'll show you the new one that he has. So he swaps them out. Move all of this stuff out the way so you guys can see my sick cup that's hidden way in the back. So let me take these spoons out. These go to those little Sunday cups up there. And here is my sick cup. It has a little bell on it. I can just ring that when I need people to bring me any additional soup or tea or anything that I need. So that's my sick cup, and I'll have to show you guys Ray's sick cup. So I think if we can just make this a whole sick soup station here, that'll work better for us. So I had to take a quick break. Look at this spice. It's called Smidge Spoon. And those of you who have been with me for a while, if you watched the video, I can't remember if it was my husband teaches me how to cook his Gouda shrimp and grits, or if it was my husband teaches me how to cook his mac and cheese. But we had a big debate over what a smidge was, or if it was a smidget, smidge, or smidgen. But I'll leave the links to those videos below. I have to keep this spice because it's a Smidge Spoon spice. So here is the after 30 minutes. I did both cabinets, the spice cabinet and the cabinet that I showed you previously. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on it. I just wanted to do quick little decluttering updates. And so let me share with you at the top. I just moved everything back that needed to be back on this Lazy Susan, all of our oils and vinegars. And here I just put all of my husband's spices barbecue spices back in here. Now I know he's probably not going to use this system, but I just stored them here now, and it took him a year to actually load all of them up over on the other side. So once a year I can put them back, or maybe if I have the time, put them back, you know, once a month. And then over here I just decluttered and put everything that I needed back on the shelf. Down here I left, you know, my oatmeal, the grits, and everything the same. I changed out my sugar and put in the brown rice. We use the boil in a bag rice because for some reason I can never get my brown rice right. I guess it takes longer to cook than white rice, so I purchased these. And then we have our dates, and then on our back shelf, you know, the second shelf, I put all of our cornstarch in one of the small containers. We have to get more cream of wheat. We love cream of wheat, so we're going to put that in there. And then I emptied that big sugar into the smaller sugar container, and we have the smaller flour. Then we have some smaller empty containers back there that we can just use for other things once they come up. And here on the bottom shelf, I took out that faux leather liner, and I still need to go purchase the clear one from Walmart. Any spices that that belonged in these containers that I just was too lazy to dump them in, I went on ahead and refilled all of my spices. I do need to still just wipe down the turntable, and I resorted all of our baking needs and all of our spice packets into the right places. And the only thing in the spice packet is that I had a ton of these Hidden Valley Ranch packets, you know, halfway used, half open, because they were just flung into the basket. And I already filled up my ranch packets in this container, so as this goes down, I'll put in those other half empty packets. And then also I had some overflow spices still, some more of that garlic. So the overflow spices I just stuck in the spice pack bucket. I only had 3. So overall, I'm super happy with this system. It has been holding up beautifully for us for over a year. Now here's what the other side looks like. Remember, it had all of those extra spices in there that my husband was just shoving in and not putting back in his barbecue basket. I just left that completely empty because I know that's what he's going to do. That's his routine. So I left this empty. He's probably going to just shove all his spices back here again, and maybe once a year I'll just declutter it and put it back where it belongs. And here's the other side. This is where all of our medicines were all jumbled up. I just went ahead and sorted out everything. So closest to the front, we have our daily medicines that we can just grab out. The entire family is just getting rid of a cold right now. So we have our cough drops and our vitamin C powder here. And then back there I have my overflow tea. And this little station is now in order. And then at the top, I just cleared out all of those other cups and things that we were not using, and I just replaced it with all of our sick cups. And like I said, each family member has a sick cup. Here's Reagan's sick cup, and my mom got her this when she went to Paris many years ago, and so this is what Reagan uses when she gets sick. I told you my husband has a new sick cup, and it's this instant noodle ramen noodle cup, and look on the inside, that cute. It says send nudes, like send nudes, but it's a pun on noodles. And my husband swears by ramen noodles. When he's sick, he doesn't like to eat chicken noodle soup. He loves the ramen noodles. So this was perfect for him. There goes my sick cup back there with the bell, like I showed you guys before. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will leave the links to all of the organization videos that I talked about previously that has gotten me to this point. And until next time, I'm going to keep calm and carry on. Bye guys.